Alright, so in this example, I have a circle design that's based on 8 equally spaced points around the outside of a circle. So notice here are my 8 points. Okay, so this is going to kind of show you the process that you might go through to solve these questions. Okay, as the group lays out the design, the measures of angle FAE is how many degrees? So let's take a look. Where is FAE? Well, it starts at F, goes up to the point A. It's important to trace these out, I think, so that you have an idea of what you're working with. Okay, so angle FAE. Well, one thing we can do is we've learned properties for arcs and angles. And notice with that angle, I create an arc right here. If I knew the measure of the arc, it would help me find the measure of that angle. Well, it did say that I had 8 points evenly spaced around the outside of this circle. So how many sections does that give me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And your circle may be different because I think it has more points, but this gives me 8 sections around the outside of my circle. They're evenly spaced, so to find the degree for each section, I'm just going to take 360 and divide it by 8. When I do that, I get 45 degrees. So what that tells me is each of these arcs here is 45 degrees, including this arc FE. So the way that I can find the measure of my angle A is I notice that its vertex is on the edge of the circle, and in lesson 13 we talked about what happens when you're on the edge of the circle, and it's that the angle is equal to half of the arc it's creating. Okay, so our angle here would be 1/2 of the 45-degree arc. So we just go 45 divided by 2, and we get 22.5. So the angle here would be a 22.5 degree angle. Okay. Oh, it wanted it to the nearest degree, excuse me, so I would round that up to 23. Okay, same situation. The measure of angle GAD is how many degrees? Okay, so we have the same figure. Angle GAD goes from G up to A and over to D. So again, I'm trying to find the measure of an angle. I notice that the angle over here creates an arc, and notice that arc is 3 of those sections. Now how much should we say each section was? Each section was evenly 45 degrees. So we have 3 45-degree sections, which makes my arc how big? Well, you just put them together. 3 times 45 is 135. Okay, so here's my arc. It's a 135-degree arc altogether. I want to know the measure of the angle. Again, we have an angle with a vertex on the circle, an inscribed angle, so we know the angle should equal 1/2 of the arc that it's creating. Its arc was 135 degrees, so we just want half of that. When I do that, I get 67.5. Again, it wants it to the nearest degree, so 67.5 would round up to 68. Again, same figure. This time we want the measure of angle GBE. Again, yours has, I think, more points on it, so don't just use the number that I have, but use the same process that I'm using. Find out how much each section of the circle would be, and then use it to answer these questions. Okay, this time we want the measure of angle GBE. So this angle right here at B, we notice that it has 2 sections of the circle. Okay, so 45 and 45 more. That means this arc is 45 and 45 is 90 degrees. To find my angle, again, it's an inscribed angle. It's on the edge of the circle. So I know that that angle should equal half of its arc. Its arc, we just said, was 90. So we want half of 90, which is 45. Again, I still have the same figure. You still have a different figure from me, so make sure you go off of your figure and not mine. Just use the same process. Given point P is the center of the circle, what are the measures of angles HPC and BPC? So it says P is the center, so this point here is P. We want to know the measure of angle HPC, so starting at H, down to P, and out to C. Let's find that one first. Well, this angle has its vertex at the center of the circle, and when you have a vertex at the center of the circle, it's equal to the arc. It's not half of the arc, it's equal to it in measure. So let's find our arc. Well, we have 1, 2, 3 sections. And again, we decided since there were 8 even sections, divided into 360, they were 45 degrees each. 3 of them together would be 135. We put them all together. So the measure of angle HPC is 135 degrees. Okay, so remember, if it's at the center, it's equal. You don't have to cut it in half, and this angle was at the center. Next, we're supposed to find BPC. Where is BPC located? Oh, there's B, down to P, out to C. What would its measure be? Again, its vertex is at the center of the circle, so it should equal its arc. The arc it creates is from B to C, and it's 145-degree arc. So my angle is also a 45-degree angle. Again, that's because it's from the center and not clear out here at the edge. Okay. The measure of the arc is blank degrees, and they want arc EB. So here is E, here is B. Now it depends on which direction we're going. I'm assuming we're going the short direction since I just put the 2 letters. So if we go the short distance from E to B, what's the measure of our arc? Again, we have this circle where we have 8 evenly spaced dots making 45 degrees in each arc. So the arc from E to B would be 45 plus 45 plus another 45, or 135. Okay, so again, your picture's a little different. It may have a different number of points, so be careful and make sure you use the same process, but you might not get exactly the same answers. Okay, now I have this point N here. Notice angles GNF and ANC measure how many degrees? Okay, well, where are they? Here's G, N, F, and ANC. Well, they're going to be the same measure because they're a pair of vertical angles. But the other thing I notice is I need to follow my rules for angles and where the vertex is located. N is not in the center. It's also not on the edge. It's just on the interior of the circle. And our rule for when we had something on the interior of the circle is that the angle was equal to 1/2 of the 2 arcs added together. Because notice it does create 2 arcs. It creates an arc here from G to F, and it creates a second arc here from A to C. Okay, so to find the measure of each of these angles, I'm going to put that in the formula. Well, what are my arcs? Well, this is a 45-degree arc. This has 2 45-degree arcs put together, or 90 degrees. So my angle is going to be half of 45 plus 90. Add my 2 arcs. Okay, that gives me 135, so I'm doing half of 135, which gives me 67.5. And they would each be 67.5, because notice they're a pair of vertical angles, so they would be congruent.